The first of two races, one today at Paul Ricard and one tomorrow, of course, at the same circuit. Conditions warm for the middle of November. It's sunny, but the track conditions still quite cool, as you can imagine. It was certainly very cool this morning. Only 8 degrees of track temperature. Certainly that was very hard for the drivers. The first drivers on the track at 8 o'clock in the morning. Double that temperature now on the track, 16 degrees. So no real excuse. It's a light breeze. You can see the pine trees moving around here on the high plateau above Toulon. Very comfortable air temperature. Shirt sleeve weather for some, but a packed grid of cars. And on pole position we will have number 33, Benaldi Motorsport, Dean Stoneman, seeing if he can take this championship. He's second in the championship, but only a few points down, 5.5 points down on Kevin Giladoni. So it's really tight at the top. But there's today's race and tomorrow's, so it could really swing around. In fact, 6 crews could still take the overall, the Pro Cup title here. Let's take a look at the points. It's now only 3 points with the pole position times being added there. Kevin Giladoni, bonus points for Dean Stoneman, 3 points down. Lewandowski and Bass, this is the overall title. They're running in the Pro-Am class. The Milos Pavlovic, Raul Guzman, they started the season with a win, but they've slipped back to 4th place. Kevin Russell and Alberto Di Folco also up at the sharp end of the field. But as you can see, on 53 points, Cecotto and Liddy, Dorian Boccolacci and Sebastian Balthazar, there they are tucked in behind, so close on points, but there's that little advantage for those top 2 crews. The race coming up, 50 minutes of fun, and in the Pro-Am Cup it's Lewandowski and Bass, so well placed overall, but well clear in the title race of Elias Niskanen and Mikko Escalainen, the all-Finnish duo, Lorenzo Bontempelli, and then behind there the points fall away somewhat. It's just such a good job that Lewandowski and most notably the very fast Pole Carol Bass do to dominate the Pro-Am class. Down at the front end of the grid, trying to keep things cool. Oregon team made a real splash this season. Car number 11 starting on the outside of the front row. Car 11 is Kevin Giladoni, championship leader, and Dorian Boccolacci, very, very strong pairing. Franco-Swiss in terms of nationality. And a car on pole for Benaldi Motorsport. Car 33 has been driving it solo throughout the season, Dean Stoneman. So he will do all of this race. He will not get out when the car comes in for its mandatory pit stop. And for Stoneman, he's had a sort of stop-start racing career, but since he's returned to the cockpit, he's just been getting better and better. Was a British Formula 2 champion as long ago as 2010 when single-seaters were his thing. Took time off with testicular cancer, but has come back and he just got stronger and stronger. So he's looking for another win in his campaign. Milos Pavlovic will be starting 3rd along with Raul Guzman, his teammate for Target Racing. They started the season with a win in the opening race at Misano. The best result since then was a 2nd place at the Nürburgring. But let's go down to the grid for an interview. And let's go down and join Gemma on the grid. She's got Federica from Lamborghini.
Federica, we were just saying how lucky we are to be here in November at Paul Ricard.
Yes, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful circuit, and we are very happy to be here again. And we will be here again next year. And we love this wonderful weather at the end of a difficult season.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's certainly been a tough season, but a very exciting one. And it's not only lovely to be here because of the weather. This circuit is always exciting, and it suits these cars very, very well.
Yes, the participation is very high. We have a very good grid, 23 cars. The circuit is very, very tough, but is representing the characteristic of our cars. So very high speed. Very high-speed corner, so the people are happy to enjoy the circuit all the time.
Also a technical circuit.
Yes, very technical, very well prepared. The drivers must be really well prepared to do a quite a good setup of the car, feel, and also the weather is changing quite fast. So today is quite stable. Hopefully tomorrow we are going to have a rain.
Yeah.
You're one of the few people wishing for it right this moment. But, thank you very much, Leonardo, Federica as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you.
Well, nice and cheery down at the front of the grid, and there's 23 cars at the end of the European Lamborghini Super Trofeo. That is a real accolade to the championship organisers in this difficult season. One car that's been fun this season, Jonathan Cecotto, GSM Racing, sharing with American racer Patrick Liddy. They've had an up and down season, but there's been plenty of speed from both of them as they really get to grip with these circuits through the course of the year. They are an outside bet for the title. 41, looking at that again, that is alongside the target racing Raul Guzman and Milos Pavlovic. Milos from Serbia, there's the Serbian flag on the vent on the side of the car there. Again, Sebastian Balthazar, seen some good performances from him in the pro class for Lippert Motorsport. Now focus at the end of the season, see if you can end on a high. And he started the season with Marcus Pavrud. He's had various other teammates through the course of the season so far. Car number 2 sharing with Noah Watt, the young Dane, son of former racer Jason Watt, who's really impressed since he joined the championship halfway through. Max Weering has raced all season all alone, like Dean Stoneman, but he does have teammates this weekend because Johan Kraan Racing has 2 other Dutch racers, Milan Tikens in car 54, which he shares with fellow young Dutch racer Maxime Oosten. And it can't be a Lamborghini race without a car in the white, yellow and blue colours of Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, and it's Carol Bash sharing, as always, with Lewandowski. You can see all the success stickers up the roll cage there. I rather like that old school touch. As they sit down on the grid. Here's the second car from Johan Kraan Motorsports, and for its 2 young guns, they're very fresh to racing. And I just got to double check their ages. It doesn't amount to a whole number of years. Maxime Oosten, born in 2003. Get that? Good grief. In fact, this very weekend he has just turned 17. Quite extraordinary how quickly drivers step up the racing ladder these years. Kevin Russell, second of the target racing cars, sharing with Alberto Di Folco. They took a win at the Nürburgring, haven't won since, but have been the odd fastest lap as well. So shows that they can deliver. But in terms of consistent speed, that's where you've got to look for championship challengers. Alessio Danetta, new to the championship this weekend. Another young driver sort of turning from cars without roofs to ones that have them. He's doing European Formula Renault just a year ago, probably racing here at Circuit Paul Ricard. Another car from Lippert Motorsports, another one with a new teammate this weekend. Quite a few drivers shuffling in and out of the pack. But 23 cars down there on the grid, the personnel all scurrying off for a gap in the pit wall, and then we have 50 minutes of racing ahead of us. Rolling start, of course. So just remember the front row of the grid, Dean Stoneman and Dorian Boccolacci, car 33 and car 11. Double check the names as they come around. Most of these cars with a 2-driver lineup, but we at least know for sure that Dean Stoneman will be sitting in the car on pole position. He doesn't share. There we are. He is a side away from the pit wall. He's got the car in first gear. He's just trickling off behind the Lamborghini Urus that will lead them around on this, the formation lap. Bernaldi Motorsport, Oregon team, 2 teams that really have been duking it out on the front of the championship on the front row. Target Racing, GSM Racing on row number 2. Pretty much as per championship form. Pleased to see all the cars have got away for the rolling start. So on pole, Dean Stoneman for Bernaldi Motorsport alongside French racer Dorian Boccolacci, who's also competing in the 1,000 kilometres tomorrow. Milos Pavlovic for Target Racing from Serbia. Johnny Cecotto, that's Johnny Cecotto Jr. from Venezuela in 4th. Sebastian Balthazar for Germany, Lippert Motorsport, and Max Weering, the young Dutch star for Johan Kraan Racing in 6th position. Carol Bass, top Pro-Am runner, very talented former karter, will start 7th. And Milan Tikens, what an impact he's making in the 2nd Johan Kraan Motorsport car. Kevin Russell for Target Racing, and single-seater convert Alessio De Leda in 10th on the grid. They form row number 5. Row 6, Guillaume Puget-Bert, Spanish racer for Lippert Motorsport, and Formanek for Mikanek Motorsport, the team from the Czech Republic. He will start 12th in the Pro-Am class. And Fido live for Lippert Motorsport, and Mikko Escalainen, unusually far down the grid for the Finnish racer, also for Lippert Motorsport. He'll start 14th. Then Cedric Leimer and Claude-Yves Gosselin share row number 8. Drivers getting heat in their tyres as they go slowly up the Mistral Straight. Then Silja and Harmsen, Holger Harmsen, 17th and 18th on the grid. Harmsen as an AM runner. Then Hervé Leimer from the Auto Vitesse owning Leimer family will start in the Lamborghini Cup class in 19th overall. And then the Privitello brothers will be competing, Lorenzo and Donovan. Sorry, Luciano and Donovan. Then Hans Fabry, Lamborghini Cup class. Massimo Mantovani, he should progress from there from a penultimate position on the grid. And the final row, Libor Voracek in the second of the Mikanek Motorsport cars from the Czech Republic. So 23 cars coming out to play. And Kevin Giladoni, he will take the Oregon car that starts second in this race. He'll take it over for the second part of this 50-minute race. He's leading the championship. This is the penultimate race. The final one will be held here tomorrow. I don't know if Giorgio from Lamborghini was joking down there on the grid about rain arriving, but it certainly would be interesting to have one race in the wet today and one in the tomorrow and one in the dry today. But right now, we'll take the autumnal sunshine, we'll take the dry circuit, we'll take the fact the circuit's got a modicum of heat in it, 17 degrees track temperature, and see where we go with that. .791 kilometres this formation lap. Well, the same length as every other lap, quite clearly, but as the cars come round to the grid, seeing the Mad Frog livery on Mikko Escalainen's car, that means they're going through the final few corners, just going out of Bendor. They then turn to the right through Village, turn to the sharper left through Tor, then the final corner, the very sharp right-hander. It's about 120 degrees to the right onto the start-finish straight, and that is Virage Dupont. Not quite there yet, just coming. You can see the white marker on the circuit. That's the pit entry marker line, and that is where the Lamborghini Urus has pulled off, and now the field needs to do its best to get into 2x2 formation. It's very tricky around that tight final corner, Virage Dupont. Here is the corner before, that is Tor. Now they have to get 2x2 through this tight corner onto the start-finish straight. On the left-hand side of our screen is the pole starter, Dean Stoneman. On the right, by the pit wall, is Dorian Boccolacci. Red are the lights, 5 of them, but when they turn green, we will go racing. Normally quite a long hold. All the cars now through the final corner onto the start grid, and the driver in third place, Milos Pavlovic, right on the tail of Dean Stoneman, literally a quarter of a car length behind them as they run down towards the first corner, looking towards the inside. It's not going to happen. Third place stays as third place for Pavlovic. Dorian Boccolacci sticks it in behind Dean Stoneman. Stoneman makes that pole position really stick, but now almost having a look as they go out of turn 2 down towards chicane at turn 3. Certainly Dorian Boccolacci keeping Dean Stoneman right on his toes. Good, clean, tidy manoeuvring from all the drivers. A little bit of a touch further back. Mikko Escalainen in the pack. Looks like he traded a bit of paint. 69 also starting to make some move. That's Guillaume Puget-Bert, the Spanish racer. Through turn 7, which is L'École, onto the Mistral Straight with an advantage of about a second. It's been very good early stage of the lap. The overtaking is potentially happening in about 6th place behind them. But it's Stoneman from Boccolacci, Pavlovic in third place, and he's being hunted very hard indeed by Jonathan Cecotto. Oh, some late braking by Formaniec there, Bronislav Formaniec. You can see the Mikanek Motorsport Lamborghini white, blue and red locking up into the chicane halfway up the Mistral Straight. But into the chicane, the lead was about half a second. It's about 3/4 of a second for Stoneman, the pole starter, as he pulls away from Dorian Boccolacci. Up through Signé go, and then very, very wide indeed by Milos Pavlovic. May get pinged for that, going the wrong way of those little markers. Maybe extenuating circumstances. It is the opening lap, but track limits always a feature on modern circuits. Oh, and a mistake from the driver of the Vincenzo Sospiri racing car down towards the tail of the field, getting twitchy, running a little bit wide. It might have been Alessio De Leda midfield. No, car number 6 still okay. Oh, Yes, I think it was, and he's now being pushed very, very hard indeed. Very tricky corner, turns 11 effectively, Bose, easy to run wide. Monteleda losing a few positions now. No, in fact, it's his teammate further down the order. Apologies to Doleda, he's going better than that. And we have a spinner reversing as if to go in the old pit entry. It's black and yellow and it's not moving as yet. Again, Virage Dupont so easy to run wide, and it's car 69. That has been going well. That's tumbling down the order. Guillaume Bougebert will probably get going again, but little slip up. Possibly the easiest corner on the circuit to get it wrong. The person who's getting it right, and very, very right indeed, is Dean Stoneman for Bonaldi Motorsport. He's only had 2 wins this year, but they're in races 2 and 3 for advance towards the tail end of the championship. Now he's got another pole position, in fact his first pole position of the year, and he's making the very most of it. Normally starts at the front end of the grid, but really enjoying this opening stint here at Paul Ricard. 1.1 seconds to the good over the start-finish line. Looks so he's found a few more tenths. Halfway around the second lap, up to the chicane they go. Hard on the brakes. Ooh, Boccolacci looking as though he's braking even harder, even more heavily. Quick in isn't always quick out. Now, for the second time of asking at full racing speed, can Milos Pavlovic get it around the next corner he's going to reach in third place? Car number 41, staying the right side of the little marker boards that signify the exit of the corner. Carol Bass in 5th place, white and blue and yellow. Vincenzo, yes, Pavlovic got it right, but 5th place and closing on the pair of them is the Pro-Am class leader, Carol Bass. Car 54 running in the Pro class, that's Milan Tikins. Let's take a look back to the start, and certainly Stoneman on pole was pushed very, very hard indeed by Pavlovic down to the first turn. The driver's right side of the circuit was covered by Dorian Boccolacci. He's the one with the metallic pink nose for the Oregon team. Started second, stays second, and despite that really enthusiastic start from 41, Milos Pavlovic, he stays in third place. In behind, all very neat and tidy. Jonathan Cecotto started 4th for GSM Racing, stays in 4th, but very, very close in behind with Carol Bass, Sebastian Balthazar and Max Veering, all working so hard. They were good and tidy down to the chicane. Now this is a replay of the start from the car that started second, Dorian Boccolacci, alongside the poleman from Bonaldi Motorsport, alongside Dean Stoneman, twitching, trying to get the front to turn in. Again, the tighter line meant it's a different line towards the exit for Bonaldi Motorsport and the poleman, but job well done by Stoneman. But certainly Boccolacci putting loads of pressure on him. Looked to go up the inside as they were coming down the hill towards the chicane, found himself shoveled over to the outside, and thereafter our race leader started pulling clear. 1.1 seconds the good last time around, now 1.8 seconds in front of Boccolacci. The lead is extending for Stoneman. Pavlovic still got Cecotto all over his tail. Carol Bass leading Pro-Am in 5th, trying to catch the pair of them. Early in the race he passed Sebastian Balthazar, but Balthazar sort of hanging on in 6th place. And then Max Veering, the young Dutchman, just half a second down on him. Just to reiterate, these races in the Super Trofeo, 50 minutes with a mandatory driver change or pit stop. There's a handful of the drivers racing solo. And in terms of the championship, the points advantage is with one driver still standing in the pit lane, Kevin Giladoni. He's sharing with the driver in 2nd place. That's Dorian Boccolacci, his partner in the Oregon team, in their lead driver lineup. But for Dean Stoneman, he has nobody to hand over to for Bonaldi Motorsport. He's going solo again, and he hopes that's enough to take him to what would be his 3rd win of 2020. Now a replay of a bit of a dive there from 22, really trying to pick its way up the order. That was Libor Dvoracek, and place gain for him. Was that Hervé Lema he went up the inside of? Yes, I believe it was, and I think there was a further place change in behind. Now, riding in the car that's running in 2nd place overall, Dorian Boccolacci, 3 seconds now down on our race leader, Dean Stoneman. So Stoneman was very stout in defence through these 2 corners, 1st and 2nd corners on the opening lap, kept Boccolacci behind him, and is stretching clear with every lap. But it's a 50-minute race. keeping some tyre life. But the good thing for both of these, they don't have anyone immediately around them, because there's another 2 seconds back to Milos Pavlovic in the third place. They're not having to fight each other. They're putting the cars where they want to, and that really does keep the tyres so much more sweet. Those who are fighting, getting offline, are having to work their tyres so much harder. Over the curves, through Lecole, up the Mistral, not running the whole hog of the Mistral. There is a chicane, it goes left, it goes right, and left again, up the Mistral straight. Second position looking very secure for, at the moment, for Dorian Boccolacci, and second place pays 12 points, 15 points for race win, so still with an advantage in the championship. But in fact, I think it's almost even Stevens at the top of the table if they stay as they are. The battle for third, very fierce indeed. Milos Pavlovic has got Jonathan Cecotto on his tail, and Karol Bash is catching the pair of them. Another lap, and I think the Pole, who's leading Pram, will be right on the tail of the car from Monaco, the GSM Racing team. Jonathan Cecotto starting it, Patrick Liddy will finish. And unfortunately, car at the side of the circuit, and just trying to see who's fallen. It's Hans Fabry, Imperiale Racing, and he hasn't gone off alone, because he's got it going all over again, but number 68, a little bit of a moment there. So 69 back going, the two of them again. Didn't see the lead up. That's Donovan Privitello, and racing with his brother Luciano. Who's making the moves? Well, the driver making the most moves, of course, is Dean Stoneman in the lead of this race. His advantage 3.7 seconds. Then Milos Pavlovic 2.5 seconds back, but in third place off the tail of Dorian Boccolacci, but less than half a second ahead of Jonathan Cecotto. And I said Karol Bash will catch them. He's just a third of a second back in fifth place. Sebastian Balthazar 2 seconds just out of their shot, and background of the shot there in sixth overall. But he's got company from Max Veering, the young Dutchman, and then Kevin Russell in 8th, completing the top 10, Milan Tikens and Cedric Lima. Cedric in 10th, leading the AM class. And as long as Jonathan Cecotto is all over the tail of Milos Pavlovic, the Target Racing driver will not be able to set off after the Oregon team car that's running second in the hands of Dorian Boccolacci. Second, increasingly distance in second, 3.7 seconds in arrears of the race leader Dean Stoneman. Stoneman is turning into the second part of the chicane as the entry to the chicane is tackled by Dorian Boccolacci. Then not too far down, 2.5 seconds further back is this battle for third place. Milos Pavlovic and Jonathan Cecotto. Yeah, good little battle back behind them. 6th place, Sebastian Balthazar, the red nose of his Lippert Motorsport entry, and Max Veering, the Johan Crown Motorsport car, tucked in on his tail, just coming into the rear of our shot as they go through senior. Must be said at this stage, Milos Pavlovic seems to be able to put his car where he wants to, where he needs to be able to put it, which is very satisfying indeed for him at this stage in the race, certainly to control that position. There's Sebastian Balthazar, and in behind young Max Veering. Seems the Dutch drivers who come to play in the championship need to be of teenage persuasion. In fact, only just turned 20 in August, Max Veering. Did karts, and then in 2019 steps up to the Dutch Supercar Challenge, and in a quick hop he's moved over to here, so he's running around in 7th place overall and has really made a very, very impressive splash. His best finish so far this season, last time out, a 4th place at Spa-Francorchamps. Sebastian Balthazar started the season with Marcus Paverud from Norway, but the German racer now sharing with Noah Watts, and Noah really goes well in the second half of the race, so the car running 6th could be rising up the order before the end of the 50 minutes. Ooh, Max Veering there just got a little bit too close and had to take evasive action. Nearly hit the back of Sebastian Balthazar. So all the laps are getting that little bit closer. Now he's got to do it all over again. He's lost the best part of a second with that little slip up. Our leader, Dean Stoneman, haven't seen so much of him, but he's 4.1 seconds to the good. in the lead of the race, and in turn Dorian Boccolacci in second is 2.7 seconds clear of Pavlovic, but Pavlovic hasn't had a moment's rest. He's been pushed so hard by Jonathan Cecotto. Karel Bass, every time he seems to get a bit closer, then loses a bit of ground, but he's in a different battle. He's 5th overall, sure, but he's leading Pro-Am by a huge margin. Next car in Pro-Am is 7 places further back. It's Bronislav Formaniak in 12th overall. Top car in the Lamborghini Cup class is down in 20th. It's Libor Horacek, also for Mikiniak Motorsport. And every now and again, on a timing screen in a motor race, you will see an anomaly. The driver in 15th place, Massimo Mantovani, running in the AM class, has just banged in the fastest first sector of anybody in the race. There he is, 14 cars ahead of him, and he's suddenly just really found some phenomenal pace. Maybe he's just suddenly got a little bit of clear air around him. He's got nobody ahead of him. He's 9 seconds down on Mikko Escalainen, second clear of Holger Harmsen. We'll keep an eye on that. Now, top in AM class, Cedric Lima, car number 63, going really well. 10th place overall. Good to see him having such a good, strong run. Really starting to sense that Milos Pavlovic has just found a little bit of a buffer over Jonathan Cecotto. In so many ways, he should have been the one struggling. He's been trying to block all the moves from the Venezuelan in their battle for 3rd place. Best lap of the race so far is our race leader, no surprise in that. 2 minutes 3.4 seconds. That's Dean Stoneman. That's why he's getting on towards 5 seconds clear. 4.5 seconds clear over the start-finish line. Oh, of course, the misleading element. Massimo Mantovani did put in a very good lap, but it was his fastest lap of the race. But that was his position in class, of course. That class best performance in the sector. Slightly confusing on the timing screen. Right, Dorian Boccolacci. What can he do? He knows he's got a very, very good teammate to hand over to in Kevin Giladoni. They are Kevin is leading the championship at the moment by a small margin from Dean Stoneman, but Stoneman is doing all he can do. He will know the track conditions when he comes back out after his pit stop, because he'll have done the first half of the race, whereas Giladoni will have to just go with what's in front of him when he takes over the 2nd place car from Dorian Boccolacci. Suddenly getting busy up the Mistral. It's all about braking as they turn into the chicane. No change of place there, I think, as yet. 69 was in the walls a little bit early on, and Guillaume Bayer picking his way back up the order. We saw his car at the side of the track, but he's making good some of the places he's lost, and I guess I'm trying to work out his next target. Claude Gosselin has been passed. Yes, that's the one with the gold on it. So Holger Harmsen, Attempto Racing, will be the next car up the track for him. Now with a bit of overtaking to be done, a bit of lapping. Dean Stoneman's advantage has come down to 4.3 seconds, but on what you gain in traffic, you often then lose, and vice versa. So Dorian Boccolacci 4.3 seconds down. Milos Pavlovic finally got a tiny bit of breathing space, car number 41. Going past the Kermit coloured car, number 68. That was Hans Fabry. We saw him down to, sorry, car number 88, Imperial Racing, the bright green car. Super clean, super consistent, super Dean Stoneman. Super tidy at the lead of this race. Now he's got clear track ahead of him. Started on pole position for Benaldi Motorsport, was challenged down to the first corner by Dorian Boccolacci, but now car behind, even though it gained slightly on the last lap, still a comfortable 4 and a bit seconds in arrears. Up to scene they go, that wonderful sweeper at the top of the rise. Over the curves, but nothing too untoward. Not even deeper into the corner went Boccolacci, trying his best to shave off a 1/10 of a second here or there. A little bit of battling further down the order. Car number 6 is Alessio De Leda. He's fighting Cedric Lima. It's a battle for 10th place overall. Lima showing he's made of stern stuff. He's leading the AM class, and De Leda's in the pro class, but he's not determined. He's determined not to let him past. Boccolacci continuing to press on. Up ahead, He's still close enough at 4 and a bit seconds away to see the race leader from Benaldi Motorsport. That's Dean Stoneman. Over the little rise, the hump on the start-finish straight goes Stoneman. Disappears almost from sight over the crest. Not quite though, still as they run down to turn 1. Boccolacci, you can see him. Oh, he's gained a tenth of a second. 4.297 seconds in arrears. Since Max Veering in car number 61, got very close to Sebastian Balsar about 3 laps ago, had to come off the power and he got too close. He's lost a fair bit of ground. So Max Veering falling away in 7th place, now nearly 3 seconds down on Balthazar. Alessio Deleda over the start-finish straight one more time. He did get past Cedric Lima. Bronislav Formaniec tucked in behind them as well, 10th, 11th and 12th. Auto Vitesse livery of Cedric Lima. Brother Hervé is further down in the field. He's running in the Lamborghini Cup class. He is in 21st position. But there's Cedric running in the AM class, leading the AM class now, 11th place overall. Bronislav Formaniec made a little slip up early in the race, now determined to regain position. And Alessio Deleda able to pull clear of them. Very interesting background, really. Very strong Italian Formula 4. This is Deleda a couple of years ago, then European Formula Renault last year. Bit of Formula 3 over the winter, both in the Open Formula, the Euro Formula Open in Spain largely. Macau F3 for Campos, and then Asian F3 over the winter for High-Tech Racing. But he's been doing European F3 and now Lamborghinis. What a great season the young Italian racer is having, and he's spreading his wings. Yeah, someone's spreading their wings far too far away there, and that's Formaniec moving up at the expense of Cedric Lima. Cedric has all that space to go out with and play with, and use a great deal of it at senior. Well, the gap continues to come down at the head of the race. Certainly the last few laps have been very good indeed for Dorian Boccolacci. Now 3.8 seconds down. His last lap very nearly his best, whereas for Dean Stoneman, his last lap was 1 1/3 seconds down on the ultimate pace he's achieved so far. So Stoneman built that lead going very hard early on. I think traffic, as they go through back markers, has also played into Dorian Boccolacci's hands. He's been very positive going past. Any advantage, any breathing space that Milos Pavlovic had in 3rd place. The 41 car from Target Racing has been gobbled up because Jonathan Cecotto is revived. Both running very wide as they went through turn 7 Nicole onto the Mistral Straight. They've got some back markers to get past, covering their tyres in dust, but this time of year the circuit nowhere near as dusty as before. And you're going to take a look into chicane, but the outside is a place of no return. Jonathan Cecotto knows that, but he's just trying to loosen the grip on 3rd place, exerted by Milos Pavlovic. Pavlovic has done a very good job. He had those few laps when he got a tiny bit of breathing space, but Cecotto's decided that's far too much for him to enjoy. And closing in again. 3rd and 4th, and always there or thereabouts, about a second down or 3/4 of a second down in 5th place. Karel Bass comfortably in the lead of the prime class. He'll be handing over. The pit window is now open, and he'll be handing over at some point in the next 9.5 minutes to Andrei Lewandowski. But Karel Bass, if he starts the race, tends to stay out as a quicker driver in that pairing as long as he possibly can. In fact, he'd like clear track ahead of him, and without this tussling duo of Pavlovic and Cecotto. And then we'll see what lap times the former karting star Karel Bass can unleash for Vincenzo Sospiri Racing. Quite a lot of tyre debris on the circuit. You can see some being fired out in the path of our race leader Dean Stoneman. 3.9 seconds, slightly better lap for him. He's gained a 1/10 of a second back from Dorian Boccolacci. Boccolacci just turning through turn 1. 3rd and 4th place battle, and 5th place as well. Pavlovic, Cecotto, Karel Bass, no change of position. Cecotto is looking very determined to make a move before the pit stops. Personal pride, you see, it's a fine thing. don't know, honestly, where Jonathan Cecotto thinks the space is going to go up, because Milos Pavlovic, very, very wily driver, has put his car where it needs to be to hold on to that third place. Done it lap after lap. I think the best chance for a change in position is to come across a car that needs to be lapped. The 2014 European Lamborghini champion, that's Milos Pavlovic, ain't prepared to open the door. Always takes the tight line, the inside line, into that chicane on the Mistral. Pit stop window open, only those in the second half of the field, by and large, the ones that have called in as yet. But the front runners, they'll keep an eye on the clock, they'll keep listening to messages from the team, and then they'll decide when they come in. But in many cases, it's the Pro-Am in a Pro-Am driver, or the quicker of a Pro driver lineup that's been doing this the first stint. Tomorrow, of course, the drivers who started second today will be first in the cars in the final race of the 2020 Super Trofeo. Third, fourth and fifth still running past. Eschewing coming into the pits. Dean Stoneman still leading the race. He can come in whenever he fancies, just doesn't want a busy pit lane. He's leading the race. He'll be doing the second half of the race as well. It does look as though, in fact, a better middle sector of the lap, perhaps, for Dorian Boccolacci. He was nearly 3.9 seconds to good. I reckon about 3/4 of a second has come off that. 3.1 seconds. Well, not too bad. The eyes still work. Again, traffic playing a role. The back markers, you think you've got a clear lap, and you come across them, they're lapping some margins slower. No change giving there. I thought we might get Carol Bash gaining a position, third and fourth, almost touching there. Jonathan Cecotto, number 7, taking a look, almost up the inside. Carol Bash in behind in 16. This is the moment for the pole if he wants to go up the inside. Not quite off the line there, down to the bottom end of the lap. Can he go? The pole couldn't get his nose in front in turn 6, which is Sandbohm. So in fact, all of this has rather helped the driver in third place, because suddenly Milos Pavlovic has a tiny little bit of an advantage as they come onto the Mistral straight. Trying his best, trying his utmost. Just a lap ago, Jonathan Cecotto was looking around the outside of him into the chicane, halfway up the straight. Now, having just stood a little wide, he's got to do it all over again. Pit window still open, doesn't stay open forever, another 6 minutes. Stoneman, 3.1 seconds to the good. Still possesses the fastest lap of the race, but we've got another car, another Mikiniek car off at the side of the circuit. Is that Joseph Saruba? Potentially, he was running in the Pro-Am class, 15th overall. We'll take a look. If it says 66 on the door, it would be Joseph. Or is it Libor Voracek? Well, we'll find out. Joseph has only just taken over from Bronislav Forminiak. Let's hope it's not him, having come out of the pits and pulled to the side of the circuit. Our front 5, our top 5, Stoneman, Boccolacci, Pavlovic, Cecotto and Bass continue on their way. Sebastian Baltazar has pitted from 6, so it's top 6, and here's a well, there we go, it's car 22. Thanks for showing us your door numbers. It's Libor Voracek going for that spin, so a little bit of a moment for the car coming around the corner after him. Libor shares with Kurt Wagner, but at Paul Ricard there is space to spin if you're going to drop it, and certainly no damage done at all. Those painted lines, blue and then red, as you go further beyond the circuit, they're made of a different textured tarmac as well. The further out you go, the grainier the paint is, and it certainly slows the cars down more, makes much more of a rumble. And if you're going sideways across it, it puts even more damage onto those tyres. You can scrape the surfaces off on. It's a bit like sandpaper, increasingly coarse grades as you go further from the edge of the circuit. Kevin Giladoni, championship leader, waiting in the pits. He will get his turn to take over from Dorian Boccolacci, the driver chasing him in the championship, and right now planning to do the second half of the race as well, is still leading. Dean Stoneman, 2.7 seconds to good. It has been coming down over the past few laps. Got out to 5 seconds. Looks though it's going to continue to stretch, but the second half of the opening half, the second quarter of the race, if you will, there's very much been a case of Dorian Boccolacci being super strong in traffic and just finding tenths of a second here or there. Third, fourth and fifth, running in the order it's been seemingly forever. Pavlovic, Cecotto and Karel Bass. Karel is not in this battle though. Of course he is, but he's leading the Pro-Am class, so that is really his main concern. But pride is a fine thing. And of course, the Pole, Karel Bass, expects more, wants more. Now, are we going to have our race leader coming into the pits? Oh, yes, we are. Benaldi Motorsport, Dean Stoneman into the pits. Wow, Dorian Boccolacci really seemed to close another second or so as he comes in behind him. Of course, they have to drop it right down to the pit lane speed limiter, but that is not 2.5 seconds behind. That's not 2.7 seconds, I reckon. It's more like 1.7 seconds. So let's take a look at the cars as they come to a standstill. There'll be no driver change for Dean Stoneman. He'll stay on board the car 33 from Benaldi Motorsport, but led this race from pole position. But Dorian Boccolacci is handing over to Kevin Giladoni. Keep it tidy, keep above the minimum pit stop time. That's the message for all the crews. So the cars third, fourth and fifth, that's Pavlovic, Cecotto and Bass are now first, second and third, but they will need to make their pit stops. For all the efforts that Jonathan Cecotto has put in, he won't surely be able to say, yes, I finally got past Pavlovic, finally got up into effective third position. They're first, second and third on the track at the moment, but by the time they've made their pit stop, they surely will come out behind the cars that led them in. The Benaldi Motorsport number 33 of Dean Stoneman and the number 11 that Dorian Boccolacci will be handing over to Kevin Giladoni. These are the two cars fighting for the championship. And it looks as though they will be taking this through to the end of the race. The light already starting to dip. It is November, it's late afternoon. It's getting up towards 4:45. The sun was low in the eyes of the drivers in the morning, now it's low in the eyes of the drivers in the late afternoon as well. So it's been a far better pit stop for the team that came in second. They were quick on the way in and quick on the way out. Oregon team has got Kevin Giladoni, championship leader, out just in front of Dean Stoneman. So slicker pit work from the Oregon team. So they'll be very, very pleased with life indeed. Drivers work so hard in this 50-minute race, but the pit crews can have a role to play as well. So for Jerry Canavicio and Giorgio Testa of Oregon team, they'll be very pleased indeed in the pit lane. They got their car back out in front, handing over to Kevin Giladoni. Dean Stoneman, though, he knows the track conditions. He's done the first half of the race. If he's going to strike, he's going to have to strike soon. Trying to unseat the new effective race leader. Pit window is still open, but it will be slammed shut in just over half a minute. So I think all the major players, yes indeed, look down the charts, everybody has at least gone into the pits. That's all that's required. They can leave after the pit stop window closes. These cars are going to be doing just that. It looks as though the GSM Racing Lamborghini has failed to gain a position on the one from Target Racing that it's been chasing so hard. Car number 41, Raul Guzman. And now up Mistral Straight they go. The first two cars, this is looking very good indeed for the Oregon team. They've been through the chicane, up through Scene. Maybe there could be an overtaking manoeuvre from Bose, but Dean Stoneman will know the track conditions better, and he's got the turn in right. He's got alongside, had to make it stick, has done it. That was exactly the moment to better run through Scene because he was more confident in the car because he'd been out on the circuit more recently, whereas Kevin Giladoni had to be slightly cautious. He tucks in behind, but forever, you very rarely get an overtaking manoeuvre at Scene. It's the fastest corner. It's what happens at the following corner at Bose. Having taken the lead, Dean Stoneman able to push down the power a little bit earlier. Out of corners, he's got a bit more grip because he's got a bit more confidence, or he can use the grip because he's got that confidence. Flat out down the start-finish straight, just check the air vents, get a bit more in the car, and then what you don't want when you're fighting for the lead of the race is to come out and have another car, a slower car, a back marker come out right in your path, but it can be picked off after they go through turn two. Job very well done there by Stoneman. A bit more cautious from Giladoni. This is advantage Stoneman at this point. Giladoni waits till just before the chicane before diving past. Didn't want to take a risk. So the cars that came here first and second in the championship, the margin closed between them as Stoneman took pole position for each of the races and with it a point. And have we got a puncture? The car running very slowly as the Ginion car looks though rear right might be deflating and coming off the rim. So really unfortunate there. That probably needs to get off to the side of the circuit. The flags are waved, the white flag, slow moving vehicle. Luckily there's still plenty of vision. Bit of smoke, but I think that's bodywork rubbing on a punctured tyre. It might only have 3 tyres still on the rims. Wait to see if we've got that right rear corner still on the deck with rubber beneath it. Oh, it's been a good changeover for Noah Watt. He's taken over the number 2 car that was running in 6th place, and he's now challenging the number 41 Target Racing car. Raul Guzman on board at 63. Oh, dearie me, that's pulled to the side of the circuit. Cedric Lima had been dominating the AM class, but unfortunately for him, that's come putted to a halt. I know not why, but really the race action is fabulous here because the 41 Target Racing car has got a new rival. First half of the race pushed everywhere by Jonathan Chicotto. Oh, it's pushed itself off the circuit. Oh, mistake there. Oh, dearie me, for under pressure, great pressure from Noah Watt, and car 41 blinked and Raul Guzman ran off at the side of the circuit. So Patrick Liddy in the mix now as well. Light getting lower and lower in the faces of the drivers. Raul Guzman trying to fight his way back now. Dean Stoneman, Kevin Giladoni. Raul Guzman should have been coming around next in 3rd place, but instead he's coming around in 5th place. He's also got just in behind Andrei Lewandowski in 6th. 1.7 seconds, that's the gap that Dean Stoneman has built, having got past Kevin Gilardoni. It looks as though Oregon team had done all they needed to do, and it was up to Kevin Gilardoni, the championship leader, to stay precisely where he was, having come out. Their car came in 2nd, went out first ahead of the race leader from Benaldi Motorsport. Dean Stoneman, though, knew he had to strike soon. He was confident in the car because he'd done the first half of the race, got a better run-through scene, but just simply knew how much grip there was likely to be at the following corner, the double right at Beausset. And that's where he made his move back into the lead of the race now, starting to stretch his lead. In fact, the first section of this race, this lap alone, he's gained half a second. So the lead stretching out, almost contact down there. 90 just hanging, holding onto its guns. Attempto Racing, Holger Hansen handed it over to German-Turkish racer Arkin Arka. Oh, suddenly it's like the first lap of the race as the order's getting shuffled down in the pack. Noah Watt very comfortable now in 3rd place, pulling clear, but in behind Patrick Liddy, Raul Guzman and Alberto Di Folco fighting very hard indeed. 2 of those runners just in the middle of our shot now, one with the yellow flanks on it, that's car number 9. That is Alberto Di Folco. He's got ahead of Ralph Guzman as well. So the order is really being shuffled, but not at the front. Once Dean Stoneman got back into the lead of the race, he's stretching clear, little by little. American racer Patrick Liddy in car number 7. He's in 4th place, but Noah Watt in car number 2 from Lippert Motorsport is nearly a second clear and going away. So there, Stoneman, now Kevin Gilardoni, then a gap. The Boots-on-Ginion car, don't worry, that's not in the mix. That's down in 16th place overall, a lap in arrears, but the car making the move, car number 2 from Lippert Motorsport, Noah Watt, 7 seconds down on the lead battle, but nearly 3 seconds up on Patrick Liddy, so another good result, looking as though it's going to come the young Danish racer's way. So unfortunately, car 16, pit stop under investigation. That's the VS Racing car handed from Karel Basch to Andrei Lewandowski, but drive-through penalty for car 22 for pit lane speed violation. That's Kurt Wagner, Michanak Motorsport car, and a failure to respect pit stop time. Well, that is car number 2, Lippert Motorsport car. That's the car I've just been talking about, running in 3rd position. Came into the pit stops in 6th place and emerged in 4th, immediately got up to 3rd. With a little mistake from Raul Guzman, but unfortunately drive-through, just as I said, the young Dane Noah Watt would be picking up a really good result. No, he won't be. I'm afraid a drive-through penalty will undo all of the good work they did. Certainly a good stint by Sebastian Balstar. Oh, and a big twitch there by Patrick Liddy. So under pressure from Alberto Di Folco. Di Folco goes through. That was a mistake out of turn 1, and it manifests itself in turn 2. If you don't get the line right at turn 1, it's very hard to get it back and get it turned into the right as you plunge down the hill through turn 2. So Liddy losing ground for GSM Racing, and certainly Alberto Di Folco, who picked off his teammate Raul Guzman last time around. Now he's picked off Patrick Liddy. So up to 4th place he goes. And the car in 3rd place will be having to serve a drive-through penalty. That is the Lippert car with Noah Watt. Keeping an eye on other elements at the top of the timing screens, but none affecting the top 2 runners. Dean Stoneman now 3.8, nearly 3.9 seconds clear of the car with the pink nose, the metallic nose of Oregon team. That's Kevin Giladoni. Each lap is getting better for Dean Stoneman, mastering how to hold on to life in his tyres. Now riding with the car in 2nd place, certainly our race leader, Dean Stoneman, is getting smaller. He's getting away. Down through the chicane they go. Turn 3, turn 4, now keeps on going to the left. Now turn 5, right. Boom, boom, boom. Over the curves on the outside. Cut fairly tight on the inside. Into turn 6 they go. And the most crucial corner on the circuit in terms, particularly when you don't have a chicane on the Mizan. This Charles Straight is right there, turn 7. Oh, looking a little bit busy there, and Andrei Lewandowski losing a position. Max Wearing, like our race leader Dean Stoneman, doing the race in its entirety, all 50 minutes on his own, and he picks his way past. "23 cars started this race." I'm just trying to check, scroll down my screen. Have we got all 23 still a-rolling? No, Cedric Lima, of course, we saw him pulled off at the side of the circuit a couple of laps ago, so he is not still a-rolling, but everyone else still in the play. Possibly Donovan Privitello, but he's had 2 pit stops. He's lost a lot of time. Pro-Am class leader Andrei Lewandowski, building on the work of Carol Bash. Andrei now running in 6th on the circuit. And Noah Watt's come in to serve that drive-through penalty, so the number 2 car's fallen down. I'll see what it is next time around. Listed as 8th. That could have been the point at which he was in the pit lane as the others came past. We'll see next time around. No debating who's leading the race. Dean Stoneman, 3.8 seconds. Could be going higher and higher. But don't forget, in the first part of the race, there's a time penalty being handed at the end of the race to the car in 2nd place, Kevin Giladoni. Was there a mistake in the pit lane, not serving their full time at a standstill in the pits? Well, you'd have to say perhaps not, because don't forget the number 11 Oregon team car came in 2nd place, about 1.5, 1 3/4 seconds down on Bernardi Motorsports' Dean Stoneman, but got out ahead. And at the end of the race, they're going to have to add 1 and a little bit seconds, 1.036 seconds, no, 1.833 seconds at the end of the race to their elapsed finish time. If that's added, it takes it out to a 5-second deficit to Dean Stoneman. So just that modicum too quick in the pit lane in terms of time in to time out. Gilardoni running wide out over the curbing at Nicole. Drivers try not to unsettle their cars too much over the curbing here, but it's fairly flat curbing at Paul Ricard. But run over it enough and it does shake your cars a fair deal, and you don't want to be doing that. Yuri Wagner, Lippert Motorsport, leading the way in the AM class. Of course, we had Cedric Lima leading that class until he pulled off the circuit. He was running as high as 10, whereas Yuri Wagner, now leading the class, is in 13th place. Next car, Muson Ginian Racing, Giuseppe Fascicolo. Olga Hansen for Tempto Racing is 3rd in the AM class. Car 21, it's Yuri Wagner. Car 33 is our race leader, Dean Stoneman. 3.3 seconds to good. Haven't seen any messages about him. Oh, at the end of the race, he has to have a time penalty as well, 0.4 of a second. So in fact, with the car chasing him, having about 1 second more time penalty, that really doesn't change things very much at all. Dean Stoneman seems to have this race under control. 9 minutes remain in 50 minutes of racing, and we'll do it all again tomorrow. Don't know what the weather will bring when the Lamborghini Super Trofeo ends its European Series for 2020. But track conditions could be somewhat different because we go onto the circuit and go racing at 9:10 in the morning. If it's like this morning, the circuit will be damp from overnight dew. There is even talk of rain. Or is that just joshing down on the grid? Max Veering still pressing on, car number 61. 6th place overall, Patrick Liddy just ahead of him by half a second in number 7. This is the battle for 5th place. It's been a fierce one for Max Veering, going better and better through this, his maiden season in the championship, and certainly full of pluck, full of fun, full of plight. Almost half a chance for him there, getting super close at turn number 5, the 3rd pass of the chicane. The American racer still prevails, being pushed very hard indeed by the young Dutchman Veering. Andrei Lewandowski has dropped away from their tail. Doesn't matter though, he's leading Pro-Am class in 7th overall with a tiny margin over the best of the rest in that class. In fact, the next one is Elias Niskanen, iPut Motorsport, in 12th place. Sorry, I beg your pardon, it's Joseph Saruba, 1 place higher up. He's 2nd in Pro-Am in 11th. Overall, Elias Niskanen 3rd in Pro-Am in 12th. Max Veering continuing to look for any sort of opening. Catching one of the Mikeliek Motorsport cars. That's 2nd in the Lamborghini Cup class. That's Kurt Wagner. Hervé Leimer is leading that class, joined the championship for 2020 this weekend and going great guns for Auto Vitesse. His brother's car is the race's only retirement at the moment. And that's Cedric Leimer. We saw him pulled up at the side of the circuit. Sun definitely getting lower in the drivers' faces, and some points the circuit is actually almost gone down behind the mountain, which forms such a fabulous traditional backdrop to the circuit here on the plateau. A world of pine trees and open patches in between. Great place to put a circuit. It's been here for 50 years since drinks magnate Paul Ricard named the circuit after himself, named it after the drink that he named after himself. Patrick Liddy pushing, seeing how high he can finish. Their best result was 2nd place, sharing with Jonathan Chicotto. Patrick Liddy, that was in the first 2 races, supporting the Spa 24 Hours when they finished 2nd. Now, a little bit of a slip up there from Patrick Liddy, maybe about to be seized upon. Not quite though, because out of L'École, the chasing car, Max Veering, oh, not out of L'École, sorry. Yes, it was, other camera angle as they go side by side up the straight. The Dutchman on the left-hand side of the screen, the right-hand side of the track. That will be the wrong place to be when they get to chicane. Brake as late as you can. You're not going to be able to turn it from there, are you? Are you? Gosh, wow, that was very brave indeed from Max Veering. And I'd say Patrick Liddy was actually sensible too. He could have pushed a little deeper in the corner, but that would have led to bent cars, spun cars. Decided not to do that. Haven't talked about the gap at the front of the field. Kevin Giladoni still running in 2nd place, nearly 4 seconds down. He's got a time to be added to his time at the end of the race, but he's got to add 1 and a bit seconds to his elapsed time, whereas Dean Stoneman has to add just under half a second, so that advantage will actually stretch in the favour of his championship rival. In fact, they'll be pretty much equal on championship points after this race, with just the 1 race to go tomorrow. How good's that? Other messages. Car number 77, contact with 41, that's Max Veering, no further action. Sorry, car 41 was Raul Guzman, I beg your pardon. Max Veering is 61. So, Dean Stoneman, there he is in car number 33, just under 5 minutes remaining in this race. He's 3.5 seconds to the good, plus the twist with the extra time to be added to both cars, the first and second cars, but an extra amount of time to Kevin Gilardoni's car in 2nd place overall. Alberto Di Folco looks though he's fairly safe in 3rd place for Target Racing. The sister car, Raul Guzman's, another 10 seconds back in 4th, so yes, he is safe. Let's ride on board with Kevin Gilardoni. Came here leading the championship. The margin was hauled down a little bit by 2 pole positions and the bonus points that go with those for Dean Stoneman. Stoneman, though, not put a wheel wrong. His only scare, apart from the challenge running down to the first corner when Dorian Boccolacci was very busy and very close to him indeed. Any scare came when, for Stoneman, he came into the pits when the pit window was open and came in from the lead of the race and emerged back onto the track in second. Something had gone amiss in the pit stops. It turns out it was elapsed time in the pits wasn't quite sufficient. He then took the place back before the lap was out, got past Kevin Giladoni just at this very next corner, turning into this corner here. We're riding into Beausset. It was up the inside. Dean Stoneman went to regain the lead of this race, and he's controlled it ever since. And the number on the clock at the top of the screen shows just over 3 minutes remaining until the checkered flag can be unfurled. So this lap and one more. I mean the lap we're about to go on to. And one more. Looking at the timing splits, there's pretty much nothing between them. The gap is staying very resolutely at 3.5 seconds. And for a driver of Stoneman's calibre, that is a comfortable margin. Alberto Di Folco, though, is that him just closing in third place? Let's have a look. Here's our race leader, Dean Stoneman, coming down the hill. 3.7 seconds. Oh, yes, suddenly we've got Kevin Giladoni. He's got to worry. He's got to chase. He's got someone tucked in behind with this lap. And one more to serve. Alberto Di Folco rising and rising up the order. That number 9 car started way back down the order in 9th position. But number 9, Alberto Di Folco, has come up to 3rd place and is on the charge. His last lap was over a second faster than the car in front, Kevin Giladoni. 61 must now let 7 pass. That was Max Rearing who got past Patrick Liddy, but he did it a long way outside the confines of the circuit. Let's take a look at the replay. Patrick Liddy in number 7 in front, Max Rearing, a young Dutchman, tucked in behind. Was the contact there? No, there wasn't. This is down into turn number 5. And presumably coming up is the reason that Max Rearing, well, it was just a mistake from Patrick Liddy there. He ran a little too deep into Sam Bohm, but it's what happened here. I think it's the fact that Max Rearing was so far out at the edge of the circuit that he just kept on accelerating all 4 wheels way beyond the edge of the track. That's why he gained the advantage, and that's why he's had to hand it back. The advantage was deemed unfair. 1.25 laps to go for the cars fighting over the first 3 positions. Dean Stoneman will be gaining an advantage here because Kevin Giladoni, his championship rival, has suddenly got company. Alberto Di Folco has been closing in hand over fist. Now he's caught him. What can he do about Giladoni? The Italian driver will have to be, well, both Italian drivers will have to be very, very careful indeed. He's desperate to hold on to that 2nd position. Look at those time intervals over the last 2 laps. Went from a 1.8 second gap to a 1 point gain to 1.2 to 1.3. So very, very handy indeed. 4.5 seconds in 3 laps. Now going on to the final lap, we're going to have an overtaking manoeuvre from Alberto Di Folco sometime soon if he wants to take a 2nd place. Folco and Kevin Rossell, they took a win at the Nürburgring in the 4th race of this championship. Best result recently was a 3rd place in Barcelona, but can Giladoni hold on? He needs all the points that go with 2nd place to start tomorrow's race. The final race pretty much level on points. Haven't done the maths just yet, but maybe about to lose a few points here because certainly Alberto Di Folco is very, very anxious to go past and seems to have a bit more grip as he turns out of turn 5. It's about how you can put the power down through turn 6, keep on accelerating. That he does. A tidier entry to turn 7. No, very much the same, but he might pick up a little toe. Our race leader, Dean Stoneman, 4 seconds to the good now on this and the final lap. He's got this one in the bag. But overtaking the chicane is very, very tricky to do. And everybody has a very similar car. Well, the chase was very, very good by Alberto Di Folco. He's dropped his teammate Raul Guzman, also racing for Target Racing, by 11.5 seconds, but I think he's just going to run out of puff. Can he do it into the very next corner? Through Scene they go. There isn't a line up the inside being offered. It's semi-considered by Alberto Di Folco, but the Italian racer has now got to think of one other place that he can possibly make a move. Well, he's run very, very wide. Bendor is tight. Not likely to pass there. North through Village, so it's going to have to really be Virage Dupont if the overtaking manoeuvre is going to come. There is the second place car on the right hand side of the shot, but our race leader Dean Stoneman has this one under control. Should be 4 seconds to good. He'll back off. He's got the win. And was there a dive in the background of the shot? We've got a car spun to the side of the circuit on the inside of the track. Giladoni just holds on to second place at the finish, pushed all the way by Alberto Di Folco. So second and third, very close indeed. But 4.2 seconds to good was our race leader Stoneman at the end. Had that one under control, had the little scare during the pit stops. Just a fifth of a second was the gap between second and third. Waiting for the car to finish in fourth place overall, it should be Raul Guzman. Max rearing close to him, but Max should have fallen back one position to let Patrick Liddy through. The leader in Pro-Am is surely going to be the class 7th place overall, top car in Pro-Am, Andrei Lewandowski. So the order was with Max Veering still coming home ahead of the number 7 Patrick Liddy driven car, but he was supposed to hand the position back unless he handed it back, and now has taken it back again. Just to reiterate, winning the Pro-Am class, Andrei Lewandowski in 7th place overall. No debating the identity of the race winner. The car that's going to win the AM class should be Lippert Motorsport. It should be Yuri Wagner. And here comes car number 21, Yuri Wagner, through the final corner. He will be the winning AM driver. And the winning driver in the Lamborghini Cup class should be Evie Weimer in car number 19 in 18th place overall. But it really was a story of supremacy, controlled supremacy from Dean Stoneman. Started the race in pole position, got out, thought out, jumped in the pit stops, but then time penalties were offered to both. Oh dear, we've got a car without a wheel on it. Car number 41 that just finished the race in Raul Guzman in 4th place. Going back round to Parc Fermé has suddenly become like a Reliant Robin, but the other way around. Just 3 wheels on his wagon. So a dramatic moment for Raul Guzman, but he did. In fact, that was before he got to the start-finish line, so he didn't complete his final lap. That's why suddenly, of course, we've got Max Weering up ahead of him. I'd already written Guzman down into 4th place on my piece of paper, but he didn't make it with the wheel passing company. So well caught by the TV crews to pick that one up, and how frustrating for Guzman. But at least for Target Racing, they took 2nd place because the time penalty for Kevin Giladoni has now been applied, and that's moved him back from 2nd on the track to 3rd. So constant changes with those time penalties. Let's take a look at the results table. For Dean Stoneman, he is now the championship leader, surely, because it was going to be very close if Boccolacci and Giladoni had taken 2nd place. The time penalty drops into 3rd, though, behind Kevin Russell and the hard-charging Alberto Di Folco. Max Weering comes through into 4th place. Patrick Liddy into 5th, sharing with Jonathan Cecotto. Then, almost unheralded, Milan Tikens and Maxime Ouston finishing incredibly strongly another couple of laps, and they could have been the top crew from Johan Krahn Racing, as it was, the 2 cars. Max Weering 4th, Milan Tikens and Maxime Ouston in 6th for that team. Top Pro-Am runner in 7th place overall, Andrei Lewandowski and Karel Vass. Top in AM was Yuri Wagner in 12th, and top in the Lamborghini Cup class, Eve Leimer down in 18th position overall, just ahead of Kurt Wagner and Libor Voracek. So plenty happening, and delight down there for welcoming there for Dean Stoneman. A win in the bag, and now should be the championship leader after all that, and thoroughly deserved, it must be said, with the form he's shown there. So Dean clambers out, fist bump, socially distanced, of course, masks being worn at all times up and down the pit lane. Handshakes. Benaldi Motorsport very pleased with their man, did all the work himself, one of a handful of drivers who raced solo. So for Oregon team, they came here hoping for victory. They came here with a championship lead. They crossed the line in second place, only just, but with a time penalty. Unfortunately, that's dropped them back to third overall with Target Racing. Alberto Di Folco and Kevin Russell taking the second place. Not a count back. They didn't have any time penalties, and that really was the difference. So, a very good result there from Dean Stoneman. Keeps the championship exciting right to the final round of the season. That'll be here at Paul Ricard on Sunday. That's tomorrow. But for now, Bonaldi Motorsport, very, very pleased indeed. But let's go down and hear from the man himself. He drove solo. He started on pole. He took victory. Dean Stoneman.
Dean, still looking very hot. Literally just out of the car. Congratulations. What a win.
Lost for words. Tough race. Really tough. The tyres on the last few laps have finished, so I just backed the car off, 3 seconds a lap, just kept bringing it back, maxing the ABS, traction control out, and just bringing the car home, really. Good for the championship, obviously 2 poles in qualifying, winning the first race. Hopefully I'm leading the championship now over the penalty on car 11 down the pit lane. Was quite slow towards the end of the pit lane, was lifting off quite a lot, which cost me a lot of time throughout the pit lane as well, but we still won, so let's fight for tomorrow.
Absolutely, well done.
Thank you.
Interesting there, just hearing what a strain it was there for Dean Stoneman. He made it look easy from the start, really chased down to the first corner, but he kept that pole position, got it in the left-hand side of the track from his point of view as they headed down to turn 1, meaning that if there was going to be a challenge from Dorian Boccolacci, he had to go the long way round. That wasn't offered. So the top 4 cars running through the first 2 corners in grid order. In behind there was a little bit of action again. As so often, the final corner of the lap, such a tricky place for drivers. We had a bit of bodily contact there. Hans Fabry going around car number 8, also in the wars as well. That was the FFF racing team of the Privitiello brothers. And for Jonathan Cecotto, pushed so hard. There's Formignac being pressed as well. And it came to the time of the pit stops, and the front runners stayed out as long as they possibly could. After the pit stops, really, really fierce battling, and there is a massive avoidance. I hadn't noticed that one for our race leader. I hadn't noticed the spinner was right across the bows of Dean Stoneman, but he managed to have that scary moment. As he said, tyres and brakes were really starting to feel a little marginal at the end of the race. This is the point that he came in from the lead of the race. He stayed on board, and the Oregon team, number 11, came in second place, got back out in front of him, but irregularities led to tiny time penalties for both. But as it was, the lead was regained by Dean Stoneman at Beausset. Great move, the first opportunity to do that after the pit stops. He led throughout thereafter. And Max Weering pushing very, very hard against Patrick Liddy. Then on the final lap of the race, number 41 lost 4th place. Raul Guzman pulling to the end of the circuit on 3 wheels on the Mistral straight. But victory there, the checkered flag waved to Dean Stoneman. Second across the line was Kevin Giladoni, but with a time penalty that dropped him down to 3rd, the leading car in Pro-Am. In 7th place overall, Andrei Lewandowski just in the middle of your shot, just coming up now, white with the yellow and blue stripes. They took the Pro-Am class, but outright, it was the man who's going to be moving up any moment now onto the top step of the podium, and that will be Dean Stoneman.
And our race winner, Pro ITA, car number 33 from Naldi Motorsport, Dean Stoneman.
So the crew's climbing up onto the podium. 3rd, 2nd, and now Dean Stoneman. Maybe now he'll get some words back, but he really had worked very, very hard indeed. Didn't just take the win, he's taken the championship lead with that. You can see what it means to the British racer there.
Congratulations to our drivers, the overall race winners there.
So the top 3 finishers in the race: Dean Stoneman, 2nd place crew, Kevin Russell and Alberto Di Folco. They were 3rd on the track, but 2nd with the time penalties applied to Kevin Gilardoni and Dorian Boccolacci, who ended up in 3rd, but they're still right in the championship hunt.
The number 30 car, Untitled Motorsport.
So there are the championship points, and in fact Dean Stoneman has indeed taken the lead. 84 points, plays 82, all to fight for tomorrow. Kevin Russell, Alberto Di Folco just on the edge of the cusp. Here come our Finnish duo out onto the podium. Lippert Motorsports, Mikko Escalainen and Elias Niskanen. This is in the Pro-Am class. Second place in that class in Pro-Am, Mikko Motorsport, Joseph Sharuba. And Jacob Knoll. Coming back out. No, not so fast. The crew is third place. We're already trying to leave, but we're waiting for our Pro-Am winners. It will be Karel Bash, and not for the first time at all, Andrei Lewandowski, who will move on to the top step. And it's been a fantastic season for VS Racing, for Vincenzo Sospiri Racing and Karel Bash. In fact, they have only not won the Pro-Am class once so far this year.
For our Pro-Am race winners.
So rattling through the Polish national anthem there.
Then for our next podium, the Am drivers.
Still two more podiums to go. We're waiting for the Am podium and the Lamborghini Cup podium. Photographer's getting the official photos. Light really started to fade quite quickly at Circuit Paul Ricard. Third place crew in the Am class car, number 90, Holger Harmsen and Arkin Acker. Holger coming out first. Second place, car number 4, Buson Gignon, Claude-Yves Gosselin and Giuseppe Fascicolo. And we know the identity of the race winner, Yuri Wagner and Fidel Leib, the Luxembourg and German pairing sharing Lippert Motorsports car that wins the Am class.
Once again, we hear the national anthem of Argentina. Congratulations once again to our drivers.
So that's it from the first of the two races, the final two races of the Lamborghini European Super Trofeo. It's been a great race, particularly if your name is Dean Stoneman. You came here second in the championship. You bagged both pole positions. You've taken the first win. You've got one more task to do. You go into the final race with 2 points of an advantage.